Hello, everyone. So I decided my meal for New Year's will be gumbo. So I have my pot here ready to go, and I will let you guys just sit and observe some of my cooking process. I may not be talking through the video, but I am here to take you along for the process. I also have to prepare my coffee for the day. As most of you know, I am a late riser. My day starts between 1 and 2 p.m. So I have not had my morning coffee, my what I consider my morning coffee. So as I'm beginning my gumbo process, you will also see in the background that I am also preparing my coffee. So I don't know if I'm gonna do it as a sped up video or if it's just gonna be a follow along video. So just go with the process and enjoy. Okay, so my pot has been heating up, so it should be ready. You see a little water steaming off. It's not burning. So I'm going to spray the pan just slightly so that when I add the gizzards to the pot, they are washed and ready. This is 2 packs of gizzards. I don't want them to stick. And I will lightly salt them. So I'm gonna let these gizzards have a head start because that's the longest process of what has to cook and get tender. Let me make sure you can see the coffee. Okay, there we go. For a pot this size, I normally add like 4 scoops of coffee to the pot. Speaking of coffee, coffee is almost becoming a delicacy because I was looking at different brands today when I was at Walmart, trying to decide what I may want to, trying to decide on different ones to try. I saw there's one by Tom Hanks. That one was like 11 something. And I just passed it up because it's mainly because of the price for a What is the typical size bag? I can't think of the typical size bag of coffee, but it was just the basic size bag. I guess it's like 1 pound bag of coffee, and it was like 11 something. But the cheapest coffee on the shelf, and this one was the Great Value brand, was maybe like $6 or something like that, a little over $6. The rest is $9 and up. I've sell coffees for like 20 something dollars, and I'm like, okay, so it is almost going to become a guilty pleasure to be able to have a cup of coffee in the morning. The prices on coffee is ridiculous, but fortunately, I still have my little hack going where the way I've been purchasing my Illy coffee online, I purchase it on Amazon because I work for Amazon. I get a discount. I normally wait until this goes on sale. So I do the discount, I do the sale, I have reward points, I apply my reward points, and my last order altogether with everything I did was maybe 20 something. I'm going to have to look in there to be sure to show you guys for sure, but it was extremely cheap and I made out really well for six tins of this. Okay, the gizzards are beginning to cook pretty well, and I'm going to let them keep going. And at this point, I'm also going to begin chopping up onion, bell pepper. I have here I have this Bragg's 24 herb and spices. I'm going to add some of this. I have this Louisiana Trinity here. I also have, let me grab it. I also have blackened seasoning here. So this is some of the spices I'm going to start off with. So my pot here is extremely little, but I have also put on a few potatoes to boil to make I mentioned I'm going to have a potato salad with my gumbo. I may have mentioned it in the other video, but I'm going to have a potato salad with my gumbo. So I have the potatoes on boiling right now. So at this point, the water has cooked out of the gizzards. So I'm going to go ahead on and add my chicken, which I have chopped up. And this is 2 full chicken breasts. Both of them still have the bone included. So I'm going to let all of that cook down. And at this point, I will also add some of my spices. And you want to be very, very generous when adding your spices in. One of the first things I'm going to add pepper, because with gumbo, your nose has to run. If your nose is not running, it's not right. So I'm going to add a good bit of pepper. And I'm going to keep seasoning it throughout the cooking process because it's not going to reach that full level until the end. So it's important to season and taste. So this is another spice blend I have here in this jar. And I'm going to be very generous with it. So I'm going all the way back to 1 tablespoon, and I'll add 2 tablespoons from here. Because remember, this seasoning has to be well incorporated for even the seafood that's not even in the pot yet. Add my spice blend, and the way I need to add this with these nails, These nails make kitchen operation so hard for me. But normally I pop this off. Hold on. For the amount I need, I have to pop this off. 1 second while I get it off. This will definitely be the last time you guys see me in nails, because I like to do too much with my hands and I like to move quickly. So I added, this is the 24 herbs and spice blend, and I added a generous amount of that. I'm going to add my Trinity. And the good thing is the Trinity has a spoon side, so we can go ahead on and just pour it in there and get to stirring. And we're going to let all of this cook and marry together. Once the chicken has cooked down a bit, I do have the onion and bell pepper chopped and ready to go, and they are just generously chopped. I did not do a fine chop to them because they're going to cook down into the pot for a while. So we're going to let that go ahead on and go. And my coffee is beginning to steam back there. I'm not sure if you can see the spout. Hopefully you can see the spout past the steam from the potatoes, but my coffee is beginning to steam, so we're going to go ahead on and get that poured. Okay guys, so my coffee is ready to pour. My Chemex is preheated and ready to go. I didn't do everything on camera for the sake of time, but what I do is, this is the cowboy coffee method that I did do a video on before, where the coffee is boiling inside of the water. But what I have been doing lately is filtering it through my Chemex. And I'm going to go ahead on and let that finish and show you the finished process. Okay guys, so while I am waiting on my coffee to finish filtering through, we're going to look back in on this pot, and it is smelling good. It is smelling so good in here. Everything is cooking down pretty well. I'm going to go ahead on and add the, 1 second. I had to pull the garlic out. So I'm going to go ahead on and add this bowl of onion and bell pepper. Hopefully I have it where you can, I'll pull you back just a little so you can see. Look like my hand in the way. I'm trying to do it where you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so for my garlic, I do have, and I keep fresh garlic on hand, but I'm not going to be adding fresh garlic. I'm going to, this is, to me, is semi-fresh. This is close to fresh. It's minced, and that's why I like it so much, because it is close to fresh garlic. And I'm just going to put a heaping amount in. I want half of what's trying to come out. There we go. That's good. And we're going to let all of this cook together. For maybe about an hour before I do anything else to it. The only thing I may add before an hour's time is the sausage. But other than that, I'm going to let it go for a while. and get ready to prepare myself a cup of coffee. So this is just about done filtering, and I still have a little left in the pot that I do want to add so that it can filter through. But this is the point where I go ahead and sneak myself a cup, and it could get a little messy depending on how much is still in the filter, but I have to quickly get this over my cup and pour from here. Get that back on. And I can continue on filtering the rest. Pot nearly empty. It's just like a little drip more in there. So I have been enjoying these Monin, I think it's Monin creamers, and I love the little sample size bottles. This was a set of 5. I also had caramel, vanilla, and amaretto. Those are gone. I've tossed those bottles. I think I'm gonna go get me another set of this. They sell these at Marshalls. I also have the floral set, which is rose. Let me go get it for you. So this is the floral set, and it is elderberry, hibiscus, and violet, and then also rose and lavender. And I use those for tea. But these other ones, and I'm going to add the Irish cream here because, well, yeah, I'll add the Irish cream because I'm going to use a cherry flavored creamer, and I don't want to mix the cherry and hazelnut. It's Cafe Delights almond cherry. It's pretty good. So I'm going to have this coffee and a banana because along with not having coffee yet, I have not had food yet, and it is, what time is it? It is after 8 o'clock, and I am starving. So I'm going to let the kitchen do what it do, and I'll be back later. Okay, guys, I'm going to speak closely to the phone. I hope you can hear this part. So, because I have to charge my mic. So this is the difference in the chop when I am doing a chop to be eaten raw, and the chop that you saw earlier that I prepared for the gumbo. This one is much finer because I chopped this up for the potato salad, and so I chopped it up as fine as I could get it by hand. And I will be adding it to the potato salad just as is, and it will wither down a bit because I'm going to add it to a steaming hot potato salad. The potatoes are going to be extremely hot when I add this to the potato salad. And to give you a quick look at what's going on with the gumbo, so everything is coming together beautifully, and it is pretty much time to begin finishing it up. I'm going to let the bones remain in until they begin to, well, they are starting to fall apart. So I'm going to let the bones remain in a little longer, and then I will be pulling the bones out. But this is basically what you want before you begin adding the seafood. But before I go any further on that New Year's dinner, I'm going to go ahead on and eat. My daughter decided to order us both these little pizza boxes from Pizza Hut, and mine has a chicken and onion pizza, and I'm not sure what flavor wings she got. It's probably whatever sweet flavor they have because that's what I prefer. But I'm gonna go ahead on and eat this, and then I'll be back in the kitchen. Okay, guys, so it is time to start getting everything finished up. Here we go as far as what the gumbo is looking like. I have just finished eating and I am ready to get rolling with everything. So that's the gumbo I have over here. This is the potatoes, going for the potato salad, and they are pretty much just on a low steam to keep the potatoes hot until I am ready to start preparing the potato salad. So what I'm going to do is move these potatoes to the back burner, start preparing my roux for the gumbo. Once that's done, I'm going to let the roux go ahead on and cook down into the gumbo a little while before adding the seafood. And as I'm doing that, I will jump on preparing the potato salad. So the skillet is currently warming up and I will be preparing a dry roux. So I'm letting it heat up. I rinsed it out. It's heating up. And get that cleaned up. Okay, so the skillet is heating up. Once all the water has dried out, I will add the flour because I'm going to prepare a dry roux, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, so the skillet is ready and I have my flour jar here. I don't have enough space in between everything to show you guys, but I have my jar here with the flour in it. And I also keep a little spoon on the inside of the jar for convenience so that I don't have to go digging for anything. I just keep a little plastic spoon on the inside, and I will put maybe about just a little more, because you know starch swells in water. And for those of you that don't know what I mean by a dry roux, is there's two different ways you can prepare a roux. Just a dry flour roux, or a roux with oil. And for something like this, I prefer to do a dry roux because a lot of the meats and the sausages and everything contain a lot of fat anyway. So I do a dry roux and I add a little liquid to it and then put it into my pot. And all of these smells, it kind of reminds me of my mom's house. Although I've been preparing gumbo for years, it's just, I guess, because that's part of the foundation and how I learned to make gumbo. It just reminds me of my mom's house. And fun fact, just recently on this recent trip home, my dad was just so happened to discuss a moment from my childhood. He said, all this child would eat was gumbo. You couldn't get her to eat anything else, but she would eat gumbo. And I can see that about myself because I was very picky coming up. It was hard for me it's hard to get me to eat anything. And I came from that era where if you don't eat, you pretty much get punished. Like, we grew up with, it was me and my two sisters, and then we had cousins and everyone that was just always around one another. So that's how it was when I was coming up. A lot of family was actually around each other. So I was the child that had to sit at the table, the kitchen table. My great grandmother on my dad's side, Grandma B, I remember sitting at the table being punished for hours, watching everybody else outside playing, and I wouldn't be allowed to get up to go outside to play until I finished my food. Most of the time, I just sat at the table and I just watched everyone through the screen door. I watched them play. And my grandmother on my mom's side, Grandma Helen, I remember sitting at the table. She could get, I love sitting at the table drinking coffee with my grandmother. And not long, just recently, my mom told me, she said, well, you just thought you were drinking coffee. It was mainly milk, but she just put a few teaspoons or tablespoons of coffee in your cup, just to make you think you were drinking coffee. But that was some of the best memories of my life, sitting there, feeling mature, having coffee with my grandmother. So I would sit there and drink coffee with her, but I would not eat. Her sister stayed in the adjoining home. It was like a duplex. So my auntie Doris stayed right next door to my grandmother, my grandma Helen, and auntie Doris had a dog named Petey. So Petey used to come over. Petey just used to be over, I remember, by my grandmother. And Peter used to love coming by me when I was sitting at the table. So I loved the dog so much because he would come sit under the kitchen table and I would take and put my food under the table so that Peter could eat it whenever my grandmother wasn't paying attention. So that's how I got out of a lot of that when I was younger. And simple stuff, even I remember like things like tuna fish. My mom couldn't even get me to eat tuna. I would eat cereal. I do remember I would eat cereal, but stuff like tuna. And to this day, I'm like, I was missing out on a lot because I would not eat the tuna. Now something that I'm still not really crazy about that my mom would order. She would order these Omaha steaks. I've never even tasted a Omaha steak because she could never get me to eat them. Her and my sisters would eat them, but she could never get me to eat them. So to this day, that's something I still don't really eat steak. Now, there was a time in my life that I would eat steaks, but I don't eat that anymore. But if you can tell, the flour is beginning to brown, and the way you judge your roux is your lightest roux would be coming up to the color is coming up to now would be like a turkey meal type roux. Then there's going to be the next stage, which is more like a caramel color. And that will be for when you're preparing chicken or something like that. And then we're going to get to the darker phase, which is when you're preparing beef and gumbo, stuff like that. You want the darker roux. So I'm going to go ahead on and let this toast a little bit more. And I will be right back. Okay, so you guys did not hear me speaking when I was pouring the water into the gumbo. What I said was, because I had forgot to turn my mic back on, what I said as I was pouring the water into the gumbo was I often add Swanson's chicken broth, but I feel like my base is flavored enough. I have enough going on, and I just added 2 jars of water, as you were able to see. So here the roux is nice and toasty, and I am turning the fire down almost off because I'm going to add the water to it. So at this stage, when you're adding the water, you want to be a little careful because the flour is going to shoot up. So what I'm going to do is take my gumbo lid and hold it over this pot and add the water. And I'm not sure if I can have you guys all in the frame while I'm doing all of that. So I will be right back. Okay, so to lessen the splashes a little, I have the lid in place here because it shoots up. And I'm going to stir this until it is smooth. It is fine now. So I'm going to stir this until it's smooth. And then I will be right back with you guys. So when you prepare a roux, this is what you want. I just added the last little drop of water that was in the jar into the pot, and this is what you want. And if there's any little specks of anything in here like that, it is going to cook down in the gumbo because there's so much liquid going on, and it's going to, this is what a perfect roux looks like. And this one is just a dry flour roux, no oil in here at all. So I'm going to add this to the gumbo and then get ready to start searing the seafood a little bit. Okay, so at this point we are at the finish line. The gumbo is doing everything it needs to do. I'm going to go ahead and give it a stir so you can see what's going on in here. The shrimp are in here. The crawfish are in here. Everything in here is nice and tender. And this is the part where I'm going to add all of the finishing touches. So since the crab meat is so delicate, look at this beautiful lump crab meat that I purchased. I'm going to add that in, whole thing, whole container, juice and all. We're going to add bay leaves. 1 second. Okay, I see the bay leaves. So for a pot this size, I'll probably add about 6-ish bay leaves. Get that stirred in. I'm going to also add in a little bit green onion. Add the green onion on in. And I will add just a little, a very little gumbo filet. Just a little. I don't want to do too much. About that much for a pot this size. And if anyone were to want more, you just allow them to add it to their bowl. So this is going to cook for maybe about another 10 minutes. And I'll turn it off and it's ready. That'll be that as far as the gumbo. I will show you what else going on the stove. All the burners are pretty much working. So judging from how I'm looking here, I may be just a little bit short on space in this pan, and if so, I'll maybe cutting them a loose just at the very tips, hopefully, if they don't spread too much. But I have the oven preheated and ready to go, and I'm going to go head on and pop these biscuits into the oven. Also, Happy New Year, guys. It is officially 2026 as I am filming this. So as the biscuits are baking, I'm going to go ahead on and prepare the butter. And how I do that is I take a little of this minced garlic, pour it into my pestle and mortar. I use one of these yogurt ramekins, and I will add a little butter to that. Excuse me, guys, because my energy is running out. I am really tired of seeing this kitchen now, but I am pretty much done. So I'm trying to get the butter open. And I will cut maybe about a fourth of this butter. 1 second, guys. Okay, I have it. Okay, so I'll cut about a fourth of this butter. I add that to the ramekin. Put that into the microwave. And yes, I am covering the bowl. Causing a lot of chaos also. Okay. So I'm gonna hit 30 seconds on that. Check it at maybe 20. I want to add just a little salt to this. And crush that into a fine powder. Okay, it went the full 30. I'm tired. I'm going to do this a little longer and I'll be back. Okay, so you can see it is nice and powdery. And I'm going to grab this ramekin. Hopefully it's not too hot. Went a little longer than I wanted it to. And yes, it is hot. So let's get a paper towel to get it out of here. So it's not completely melted. I was trying to avoid completely melting it. Stir it down. This ramekin is extremely hot. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead on and add my garlic powder to the mixture. And why don't I just buy the garlic powder already powdered, you ask? Well, for one, I buy a large container of minced garlic. And doing it this way, I'm avoiding unnecessary cornstarch and stuff that's sometimes put into that type of stuff. So I just buy the large container of minced garlic and use it for everything. So I'm going to use my brush. Well, I just pulled it apart, but I'll put it back together. Use my brush because this one I'm going to dust the biscuits with. To get as much of that out as I can. And at this point, I also add the parsley. Mix that together. I added quite a bit of parsley. Mix that together, and that's what I will brush over the biscuits. Okay, so it's safe to hold now. I am so tired, but I have it. I was able to get everything done. Happy, I'm satisfied. And now, maybe Saturday, I may make my Plurine candies on Saturday. because I will be working today. I picked up a work shift for today and I picked up a shift for tomorrow. But I will be off Saturday. All right, and that's the biscuits. The gumbo has been off for about 30 minutes and just settling here, and it is ready. So everything is ready to go. My rice is done. Sweet potatoes are done. Potato salad is in the fridge. Everything is ready. So I will probably be back with just a little flash of the food, but once I plate everything, for right now, I'm tired and I have to go sit down and get a little rest. So, Happy New Year again until I come back. Okay, guys, I'm going to give you one last look at everything because I am about to prepare to put the food away. I have allowed the gumbo to properly cool. I was so tired after making everything. All I could do was fix myself a cup of coffee and I went sat on the bed. I even had to take some Tylenol for standing up for so long because my back was bothering me. But I have not eaten anything yet, and I am about to put the food away and because I will be going to work tonight. So I'll get me some sleep and then get up and heat me something up to eat before I go to work. But it's very important when you prepare gumbo to allow it to properly cool. So 30 minutes after I let this sit with the lid fully shut 30 minutes after I completely turn the stove off because cast iron holds its heat and it holds the temperature pretty well for a long time. So I allowed it to stay in that temperature for like 30 minutes. After that, I slid this lid back so in order for the air to flow through the pot so that it could start properly cooling off. And now I'm going to immediately get this gumbo because the pot is nice and cool. I'm going to immediately get it separated into containers so that I can put some in the freezer and some in the fridge. But this is a look at what's going on in the pot, and you can see a bit of everything going on in here. There's chicken, gizzards, shrimp. The little tiny things is the crawfish. So there's a lot going on in here, and the broth is nice and it's almost like it's nice and flowy. It's not too thick, and that's what you want for a gumbo. You want it just slightly thicker than a brothy soup. So that is what's going on here. And with the sweet potatoes, they are already pretty much put away. I just have to get them put into the fridge. But that is the sweet potatoes. Here are the biscuits. And all that work I did, I could not touch anything. Here is the potato salad again. And a pot of rice. So everything is done, and I will go ahead on and get everything separated. And I'll just get up later on, like I said, and heat me something up to eat. And I may put a short up once I plate everything. I may put it up in a short so you can see what it looks like plated. But until then, Happy New Year again, everyone. And thank you so much for joining me and preparing my New Year's pot of gumbo.